We are super excited to have Jordan with us today. He's an international educator, award-winning master barber, the CEO of M&C Salon Studios. He's got a radio show. So much is going on, but your vision and slogan is touching more hearts than heads. And I kind of want to start there and kind of talk through your journey and what's brought you to where you are today.
That's so funny you start there because I just opened my dual license. It's a barbershop and salon. And I was just explaining to one of my friends that it's very important that you have a vision and a heartbeat that kind of drives any movement, any business, anything that you're a part of. There has to be a clear and defined vision. And touching more hearts and heads originated when I was literally a teenager living in my apartment after being kicked out of my mother's house and experiencing all the childhood trauma and just a lot of the pain that I went through. I wanted to reach as many individuals as possible within the industry that I was in, but I wanted to be more than just a barber that just stood behind the chair, cut hair for 10, 20 years, and really made no impact in its community within my circle, my sphere of influence. And so when establishing my LLC and just really trying to define what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be within the barber community and beauty industry, I wanted my mission to stand out more than my haircuts. I wanted people to feel connected to who I was and not simply what I did. And I really honed into touching more hearts than heads because I figured, throughout the course of my career, I would cut a lot of hair and do a lot of styles and meet a lot of people. But I really always wanted to make a lasting impact. And anywhere that my brand, anywhere that I took my company, anywhere that I took my clippers, and anywhere that my person that I wanted to touch more hearts and heads. And I wanted to be able to reach not just people or stylist barbers through cutting hair, but I wanted to really speak to the individual behind the chair, behind the style that they were doing, and really develop and mentor those people. And like I said, just leaving a lasting impact. And so that's where touching more hearts and heads came from. And it just, it's almost one of those things that it's like manifest destiny. It aligned perfectly with my spirit and where I really wanted to take my career. So that's where it originated.
I love that. And, you talk about mentors and we talk about how important that they are. And you're definitely a mentor to thousands of people all over the world. But who are some of your mentors and how have they impacted and shaped your life?
So I have to give credit to the two strong pillars, the women that raised me. I tell everybody, I said, I'm the only boy in my household. I'm the only boy of 4 children. And I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, and they did a really good job just making sure that I had a solid foundation. So those are my two. I mean, I get a lot of my thought process and just my drive from these two women who were single. My mom's never been married. My grandmother, by the time I got here, I didn't know my grandfather. He had passed away. And so just really strong pillars in my life. But going more so into the professional world, I was raised on Les Brown. I never met him. I kind of connected with his team, but I've never met the guy. But from YouTube, I feel like I always say I graduated from the University of YouTube, watching a lot of his videos and learning a lot about leadership, learning a lot about professionalism and just overall success and how to carry yourself in a professional setting from Les Brown, and just really implementing my story and the things that I've gone through and the things that I've experienced, my journey into my career, and allowing people to see my flaws, just without boundaries, and really just giving it as open as being as transparent as I possibly can. So I would say, like I said, my mother, my grandmother, and Les Brown was really the foundation for me, and just listening to a lot of his training and development that really, and then, I mean, from book to book, just jumped from, the people connected, I guess, to his circle and just went on from there.
When you talk about, when you talk about leadership and the importance of that, what are some key components that you've learned on your journey to leadership?
Oh, key components. First and foremost, without there being a solid foundation, there can be no elevation. I feel like if I'm speaking for my generation, we have a lot of swag. We look good, but no substance. And I say that all the time when I'm in front of future professionals all across the nation. But it's not enough to simply have an outward appearance of having it all together while inside you're hurting or you're undeveloped or you've kind of missteps along the way. My pastor in church would always say that this is a microwave generation, and we want everything, rapid. We want it fast. But one of the key components that I think is huge is establishing core values for yourself, and that is key to knowing who you are. You can't move forward. You can't help anybody else. I'll put it like this: you can be of no benefit to anybody unless you're a benefit to yourself first. And so the key components for me is having a solid foundation, knowing who you are, and establishing your own individual core values before setting out to open a business, start a salon, begin your brand, or even trying to reach, anybody else. You have to know concretely within yourself what you stand for, what your own vision is, and ultimately what the trajectory you have for your business or your brand or where you want to go for yourself. And so I think that is huge. There was a book that I always suggest people read, and it's called not my book. I'm thinking about the evolution of self. The Alchemist, written by the Brazilian author. I think his name is I can't pronounce it, but Paulo Coelho, and talks about your own personal legend, your own personal journey, and really searching within to bring to fruition those things that are inside outwardly. So I think that's very huge for anybody, and especially my generation and younger. Establish a solid foundation before you can ever elevate in your career, in your life, in your finances, in your relationships. I think that's huge.
Talk a little bit more about foundation and values and mission, because you obviously established yours very young. What steps did you take?
So I made a video. I was recording this interview 6 years ago, when I was, kind of beginning my journey. And one of the main things that, and I can only speak for my generation, I can only speak, for my sphere, my people, my audience. But it's kind of harsh, but my generation needs to learn how to shut up and listen. So I was the kid who loved to embrace the stories and the ideas of the generation that came before me, because I felt like it was a cheat code in life. If somebody's lived 10, 15, 20 years before you have, and they've been in your place, but you've never been in theirs, it would be in your best interest to shut your mouth and actually listen, and not just hear or listen to respond, listen to actually heed to the advice that was given. And so what that practically looks like is seek out individuals who have accomplished what you're trying to, and embrace the words that they say. Being coachable, that was one of the hardest lessons for me, because I was the man of my household. I was the only boy. I didn't have my father in the household to where I had to take a back seat, or how do I say it, to be coached, or so I always had to kind of have it together. I kind of grew up very fast, and so I felt like I knew it all. But and I can understand, the individual who thinks, because you've been through certain things, or you've accomplished, what you have, that it's your turn to lead. But that was a very hard lesson for me, having to take the back seat and learn from those who have come before me. But when I started to do that, I realized that I was able to overstep a lot of hurdles and overstep a lot of headaches and heartache that I would have gone through, that I didn't necessarily have to go through, just from listening to the older generation, or somebody who's accomplished what I was trying to accomplish. And then again, on that same topic, you have to be able to sort through the information that you're receiving, and realize that a lot of people want to see you do. There are certain individuals who want to see you do good. They just don't want to see you do better than them. And a lot of people from the older generation that I've encountered, just gone through, just in my career, or in my industry, it was a lot of hurdling blocks that I had to go through that weren't necessarily necessary at all. And that's where you use your own intuition and just, being studied and, go back and do your own research and your own readings and read books and, for yourself. And so for my generation, the millennials, I think that's definitely necessary.
I love that. What do you think some of the reasons are business salons fail or stylists fail, or why do they, stop? Why do they change industries?
Um, Man, that's a good question. I think there's many reasons, but one that I've seen a lot is people chase profit before they chase passion. And if you chase profit without passion, your timeline in this industry is going to be short-lived. For me, I didn't have a plan B because it distracted from plan A, which was to become a success story from literally cutting hair. Everything that they said I couldn't do. When I was coming into the industry, when I was in barber college in 2013, barbers, it wasn't a prominent industry, right? It was kind of, okay, you're going to be a barber, and where I come from, you'll probably sell drugs on the side, or you'll probably work a part-time job, or it wasn't something that you could really build a career out of, and let alone a career for yourself, provide opportunities for other people. And so for me, I was so passionate about proving people wrong. I was so passionate to show my family and my future family, my son and my future children, that listen, I picked up a pair of clippers while cutting hair out of my mother's garage and literally turned my life around and show my family something that had never been done before, with a pair of clippers, shears, and a comb. And I think like I said, it all goes back to, if you pursue passion, profit, especially now where you see this new term of celebrity stylists, and the stylists are actually becoming the celebrities, where they're signing autographs. And I saw, one of my good friends in California, she's a celebrity barber, and people are actually getting her face tattooed on their bodies. I'm like, what in the, like, this is unheard of. Barbers, stylists are getting the blue check verified on Instagram. And but if you seek after that, I guarantee you're probably going to get it. If you want to be a celebrity stylist, you're probably going to achieve that. But the fulfillment, satisfaction isn't going to carry you like, like Miss Tina Black here, years and years down the line. And like yourself, years down the line, where you've got into this, you're chasing it, you're passionate about it, and that's what's carrying you through, through the years. And so, like I say all the time, your career in this industry is going to be short-lived if you're simply just chasing profit.
I love that. And you kind of talked about a little bit about your story about cutting hair in your mom's garage, but
Right.
you have a video on Instagram titled "Overcoming Adversity is Your Superpower." So
Yes.
talk a little bit about that.
I wrote about it in my book. Um, Going through and we all have a story, we all have a journey. But going through what I felt like, was the lowest point of my life, I had to change my perspective and realize and understand that things weren't happening to me, but they were happening for me. And I felt like God was really trying to refine and create something within myself, so that I can give that when I'm on stage, speaking to the future professionals and whoever I came in contact with. But my pain became my provision.
Mm.
And I want to say that again. My pain became my fuel that I needed to just make it another day. And I used that pain and turned that around. And like I heard Kanye West say it, that him being bipolar and him having his disorder, that he called it, it's like having a sprained brain. But that same sprained brain that he has allows him to be the genius that he is, and to create music and whatever his art form is. And so overcoming adversity, being able to accurately analyze the situation and say, look, though things may be like this now, I know they won't always be like this, is a superpower. Because where a lot of people crumble, a lot of people get stuck. My grandmother used to say, I'd rather be going through than to be stuck in. A lot of people, oh, I'm going through this and I'm going through that, but I'd rather be going through than to be stuck in. is a superpower. You know what I mean? And when you're able to bring, like I said, bring to fruition or manifest from that place of pain, or from that place of hurt, or from that place of disappointment. You know how many times I've been told no in this industry or just in my career, but I use that no because no wasn't, it wasn't definite for me. That just meant not yet. And with enough no's, on the horizon is a yes. Somewhere, somehow, a yes is coming. But I use those no's and I use those disappointments or hearing, not yet, as fuel to, to keep going. And like I said, it's my superpower. I know how to kind of fight back. My favorite sport is boxing, and it's not about, how many times you can hit somebody. It's about how you respond when you're hit in the face, And I think Mike Tyson said that. He said everybody has a plan until they get hit in the face, right? And so anybody who has that type of drive to overcome, I definitely feel like we're living amongst superheroes.
So what would you say is, been your most satisfying moment? Because as you said, you've had a lot of no's to get those yeses. So of those yeses, what's been, one of your most satisfying moments?
Honestly, writing my book, and being able to give my son and my legacy a blueprint, for, to show them. A lot of times, you get older, you forget stories, you forget, oh, I did go through that, or that did happen to me and stuff. And so being able to pen and document my story, it's timeless. It's going to be able to transcend, my life, and my son and, his children will be able to look at this and say, this is what our great grandfather went through, and this is what he was able to accomplish. And ultimately, Sean and Miss Tina, it's recreating the standard, right? Where the standard was what I felt was really low, and we had really low expectations for my family and the things that we saw, redefining that. And now the bar is set higher, and so one of the most satisfying moments in my career, because writing my story, I actually work with Patrice Washington, who works with Paul Mitchell. I worked with her author coach out of Atlanta, who was absolutely incredible. And she really made me dig into my story. I mean, it was a lot of nights I was writing and the tears would just begin to pour down my face. But being able, like I said, to document my story was, and sell that, and allow the future professionals all over America to be able to hone into their own story from reading mine, is absolutely fulfilling and satisfying for myself. And I'm actually working on book number 2 now. That I released my book on my birthday last year, and this time my son will actually be a co-author, and it'll be released on his birthday, September 22nd.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So with all that's happened in your life, if we were to ask you the definition of success, what would you say your definition of success is?
Oh man, that's a good question. My definition of success. Wow, that's a really good question. I think it's defined differently for everybody, but my definition of success ultimately is knowing who you are and operating from a place of not being comfortable judging your success off how many people you are able to reach and make successful, the people that you're able to make better. That's how I measure my greatness. I think one's greatness is measured in how many lives he's able to reach and touch, in whatever form, whatever God-given abilities and talents and smarts that you have to do it. I think one's true success, you're deemed successful. You're only as great as those that you make great. I think that's the way I would define success.
I love that. So before I turn the time over to Tina, talk a little bit about your dual license shop that you're opening.
We opened in January. So this is a crazy story, and I'll share this really quick. November last year, because of COVID, I was working out of my own individual salon suite. So something similar to Salons by JC or something like that, right? I had my own suite. Long story short, COVID happened. She wasn't able to renew her contract, the lady who owned it, and it closed down. This was in November. I had flown out to Atlanta to be with my family for Thanksgiving. And while I was there, I got the text message that, look, urgent, we're closing down, doors are shut, landlord's here, everything must go. And I'm like, look, I'm in Atlanta. I won't be back for another week, and after I leave Atlanta, I'm going to Florida to go, visit one of my barber friends out there. And she was like, look, whatever's left here, this is no longer, this is no longer my business. Keys and everything is turned over to the landlord. I have to get out. So whatever's left is now theirs if you don't come get it. So I'm stressing the whole time. So I catch my flight back, and I'm on my way. I pack all my stuff, and now I'm kind of stuck. I'm reaching out to the different barber friends that I thought I had. I'm like, look, I need somewhere to work. I have a full schedule, and I need somewhere to cut hair. They gave me all kind of excuses. They give, we're full. We don't have the space. Rent's going to be, they were doubling my rent. Why I was going through this, I had no idea, but whatever. And now we're getting into December. Christmas time is here. I have a 3-year-old. And so my son, he wants every toy Walmart has to offer. So I'm thinking to myself, like, Lord, like, I have a full schedule, but nowhere to work. So what I did was I humbled myself. I set up my station at home. I had a lot of the equipment and mirror and everything. I set up my equipment for the month of December. I worked out of my house, right? This is why I say overcoming adversity is my superpower. I got on the phone. Thank God for good relationships. My realtor got on the phone with him and said, hey, look, I'm tired of having to rely on other people to work, for a shop and all this kind of stuff. I want to open my own. I had traveled enough to where I was able to develop enough business sense and ideas from owning my own shop. And, when I was 21 to, now being 25, and now I feel like it's time. Reached out to him, said, hey, find me a leasing space. We looked all month for a leasing space, finally found one. January 5th, we were able to move in. And I prayed for it. I said, God, I want really high ceilings. I want a lot of window space, and I want at least 2,000 square feet, right? I want rose gold, really nice chairs. I want it to be really, really incredible. Long story short, was able to accomplish that, found the exact space, the exact look that I was looking for in a month. And I was stressing. Now, I'm only 5'10", about 160 pounds. And I was like, I lost about 14 pounds. I looked so skinny, so frail. My friends were like, are you okay? I was so stressed, but I was fighting back. I called my friend who now plays for the Houston Texans. We grew up together. And I said, hey, man, I'm opening a shop. You've been talking to me about, your life after football. Do you want in? He said, absolutely. We've been on the news in San Antonio, Texas 3 times, and we've been open since January. Well, we've been open since our grand opening was February 6th. It's now June 28th. And I just filled my 10th chair last week. So I am incredibly excited. The shop is called Neighborhood Heroes Barbershop and Salon. We have 8 barbers, 2 stylists. And I'm living the dream. I'm on cloud 9 right now. And anybody who owns a salon, owns a barbershop knows that it's a ton of work, but it's good work. You know what I mean? It's good pain. It's good, frustration. And I love the team that I have. I love being able to develop them. Like anything, it has its ups and its downs. But ultimately, I established the vision back in December of what I wanted and what I wanted my shop to aesthetically look like, with the type of people that I wanted around me. And one of my barbers texted me at 5 this morning saying he was just excited to be a part. And he's just getting out of prison. And I'm sorry, he got out of prison about 2 years ago and is just now getting off of parole. And to see this guy being able to light up after being, in the system his whole adulthood, and now he's 28, 29 years old, being able to recreate his life and reestablish his future at my shop is absolutely incredible. So the shop, like I said, is called Neighborhood Heroes. And I think it's so fitting for what we're creating, at our barbershop. So it's incredible.
That's so amazing, Jordan, because you have my heart right now, because the thing is we have these salons, but we wanted to bring in dual license barbers into them.
Right.
And it's been really hard. And now you're doing it. So now we need to learn from you.
Right.
So let's talk to that barber right now. Let's talk to the barber future professional, because obviously it's easier to talk to the student before you talk to the actual barber to kind of get this started, right? And
right.
so give your advice why you think the why you think barbers should do this, because interesting enough, of course, I'm looking at you. You obviously do both long hair and short hair.
Right.
We have to call it instead of men and women. You know?
Right, for
And
sure.
so why are you doing that? From a financial point of view, but also talk to that barber student, talk to the cosmetology student, why being dual licensed would be so incredible for them to do.
Well, I think that's the way of our industry now. I think the lines are blurred where you have barbers who are doing color, doing, the Euro styles, or picking up the shears a lot more. You have cosmetologists who are picking up the clippers, want to learn how to do designs. Ultimately, cosmetologists are going back to go, get their barber license because they want to use the straight blade, the razor, and I think this weird hybrid of barber, cosmetologist, is the way of the industry. I was really impressed at Caper to see, friends like Fern and um, uh, John Mosley being able to do it all. Fern was, not only was he styling, and doing a haircut, but he would, take out, a makeup brush, or, I'm just like, where's the line? Like, where's the, I thought you were a barber and you were a cosmetologist. So for me personally, I didn't want to be left out. I didn't want there to be anything that I couldn't do. And so that took, no, I didn't go and get the dual license myself, but being around cosmetologists and learning, like, what does it look like to pick up a flat iron and be able to, do the round brush styles. And, I flew all the way to Canada to learn how to do, the Euro style crop tops, and, connecting with a lot of my friends from California and Florida, who were this kind of, like I said, weird hybrid of barber or cosmetologist. It's essential, and it really is contingent upon what you want your career and what you want to offer, what you want your skill set to offer. I have celebrity clientele that, when they come to the city, of whether it be a comedian, an athlete, or whatever, and, they're asking for certain things. For instance, one of my good friends is Nick, and Nick, I forgot his last name. His name is Slick Nick on Instagram. Anyways, he does LeBron James's hair. But I was in New York with him, and he was on the set of Space Jam, and he was explaining to me how it's not enough to just be a barber. Like, LeBron is asking for, the glistening in his beard, and he wants certain colors, and he wants, to mask certain things. And so this is a one-stop shop. When I was at the AT&T Center here in San Antonio, and I was cutting a Enzo Amore, one of the superstars, I'm feeling kind of insecure because I'm looking around at all the stylists and the barbers, and they have a full kit of clippers, shears, round brushes, color, makeup. And I'm like, you're the one-stop shop. They're coming to you to be hired for, you're getting hired to do it all, not just like, oh, he cuts hair and then your skill set stops there. And so I think it's absolutely essential, especially to wherever you want to go, with your career. For me, I didn't want to be left behind. I'm like, no, I got to learn, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to learn how to do, long hair, short hair, do it all. At least have some knowledge about, a little bit of, something.
Yeah. I love that so much, because I think we're like dividing the industry by saying, okay, we should have barbershops and we should have salons, but you're combining them. And that's my dream. And even to get my team on board has been almost impossible. So talk to those salon owners right now, why you think having that hybrid type salon business, salon and barber, so to speak, business is so incredible to do, and why they should do it.
I think it's forward thinking, honestly. I think it's the future. And I think seeing those two, I think what it is, the divide is more so the cultures. You think barbers are a little bit more rough and, edgy, or, whatever, and the stylists are a little bit more, pinky up. But if you were to come in my shop, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It doesn't look like your traditional barbershop. And I think that's the key. You don't have to lower the standard, with the stigma of barbering, simply because, because they have this, what's the word? This perception of what a barber, a barbershop looks like. Like I said, my chair's in my barbershop, and I wish I was there, but we have rose gold, chairs with Versace, kind of engraving in the footrest, and it's all in, what you're trying to establish aesthetically. But I love the challenge of taking a cosmetologist who knows the basics of how to cut hair and to showing them the more advanced, techniques in cutting hair, and to actually see their growth and development. Why is this important? I think it's necessary because not only do you elevate a skill set, but you elevate the price that you're able to charge. We're not talking about, like here, you have your great clips or your super cuts or something like that, where people may go for what they deem a basic cut. If we elevate the industry to where cosmetologists or barbers are able to do it all and to do it all well, I think that we advance the industry with, proper training and, proper training and just techniques amongst the professionals.
I love this so much. Okay, we're on the same page 1000%. So I will definitely be reaching out to you to do this. And I know the salon owners listening to this are going to want to do the same thing. So I love the fact that it looks to me your prices start, because I love this that you're saying about pricing, because
Absolutely.
That's the challenge right there. Your pricing is $50 no matter what hair that you're cutting, that you're starting, price. And I think that's so important, because I was talking to one of my future professionals that's ready to graduate, and he's so excited to get into this shop. He calls it a shop, right? A barber shop. And I'm thinking, okay, so you're just going to do haircuts all day, and you're charging $20 a haircut. How many haircuts do you have to do? Because how much money do you want to make? And
Right.
So we were kind of putting those numbers together, and I'm thinking, wow, because our salon average ticket, some of our, best stylists are just under $200 for an average ticket. And I'm thinking, really, that's what you want to do? Cut hair for $20?
Right.
Talk to that barber right now to really understand the business sense of this, Jordan, because you definitely get it.
Well, like I always speak about, foundation first, right? Be really good at what you do so that your skill set is comparable with those who are great. So again, my generation is quick to have swag and we want the Instagram followers, but that doesn't equate to dollars in your bank account, right? Or that doesn't equate to actually having a skill set that is desirable, that people want, right? And so when I first came into the industry, I was charging $3, $5, $10 here. My mom was like, no, Jordan, like your skill set's really good, because I focused on the craft first. And I think that is the business. You don't have a business unless people desire what you have. Okay. And I really wanted to differentiate myself between barber B, C, all the way down, through the line. I wanted to have something that was unique to me. That one thing for me was to have a very diverse skill set, to where there wasn't anything I can do. I just saw one of my barbers, or one of the barbers out here, who applied, to work in the shop, but he gets on Instagram and his thing was, I don't do women or children. And I'm like, interesting. You've just cut out a whole demographic of people. Whereas I just did a lady's haircut in 30 minutes in the shop Saturday in the midst of an 18 client day. And she, it was 30 minutes and she was just like, here's $100. I really appreciate, what you do. Again, it's kind of hard for me, if I'm being honest, to kind of speak to that barber, because again, I never chased profit. That just is what followed after chasing passion. I was really passionate about this industry. And then my work began to reflect that. And so did my bank account, or my what I was able to charge. And I say $50 starting out, but really when you spend time honing your skills, and when you really spend time creating a diverse kind of skill set for yourself and really being good, it's kind of impossible to be great at everything, but really being good at, a couple of things, doing those things well, people will begin to follow. People will begin to buy into what you have and really want, what you have to offer. And so from a business standpoint, I would say, don't, like my mother told me, don't settle for less, but that doesn't come from just setting your prices astronomically high. That comes from setting the standard of excellency for yourself extremely high, meeting that bar, and then matching, your pricing to that.
I love that. Yeah, I love the fact that you were raised by your grandma and your mother, because that was my husband too. He was a child of divorce and was raised by his mom and his grandma. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be where I am today if that didn't happen, because I had to borrow his belief in me to be able to get to where I am today. So I think there's something to be said about moms and grandmas. So
Right.
for
Absolutely.
sure. Power to the world here. I love this so much. Talk on the business standpoint, because apparently there's been this mad exodus in the industry, Jordan, of I'm hearing numbers as high as 70% of hairstylists that are actually leaving the salon environment and going to the salon suite. And I've always said, and now you have a shop, and I'd love to hear your side of, how to choose which portion of the industry to work out of. And I've always said, hey, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go with others, right?
Mhm.
And so if we really want to make an impact and go to that next level, if you will, we've got to do it with a great team of people. And obviously you're a great leader. You have 10 people in your shop already. You're doing something incredible. I'm moving much slower at this pace, and I wish I was that fast as you are. So I want to hear from you. Can you give business advice right now, first to that stylist, maybe barber behind the chair right now, or getting ready to get behind the chair, to really make of that very important decision, because it really is an important decision, and you shouldn't just make it flippantly.
And I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. The important decision to, get behind the,
Yeah, which part of the business to get into, like a salon suite working by yourself,
Mhm.
or to get into a salon barber shop environment to work in, or to own. So one or the other, because you've obviously done both. And so I'd love to
Yes.
hear your advice that you would have for, that student ready to graduate from school, or maybe a new stylist. It's like, maybe I should make a shift.
So this is my thing. I first started working out of a barbershop. And the reason I think that is necessary up front, or working amongst other people, is because I believe iron sharpens iron. You have a small vantage point when you're working in a suite, working by yourself. You're comparing your work to itself, right? Like, or what you see on Instagram. But when you work in that open floor setting, you're able to kind of measure, look around, or even ask for advice, or see, that's one thing that we were very open in the barbershop that I first started working in, and transparent, just, hey, how does this look? Oh, you need to brush up here. The edge up could be sharper. And I was even, open to my clients, giving feedback, hey, what do you feel like I can get better about? So that new barber, that new stylist, I would suggest, from a learning, just because you're not a student out of school doesn't mean that you stop becoming a student. And so I think you learn from your peers, you learn from, other ones in the industry. And so, learning, continuing, your education amongst other people in the industry is important for, from a student aspect, right? But I think that, from a financial perspective as well, when you're freshly out of school, you're still building your clientele. It wasn't until after, years of cutting hair, that I went and worked in a suite, where obviously they're charging premium rates, and they're charging, a higher, rent for your suite, where I was able to kind of manage my own clientele. I had such an influx of clients where I was able to do that, but I wouldn't have been able to do that just starting out. I wouldn't have been able to do that, fresh out of school. And so I think that's, important. But say once you have, that barber, that stylist who has hit a number, and I think that's important. Let me pause here. Have written down goals. People without a purpose, or I'll put it like this. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah.
Planning is essential. There needs to be a dollar amount. So when I first started, because I don't care how you flip it, how you put it, we have to pay bills. You were not in this to just look at each other. It's not just, for fun. I tell my mom all the time, I'm not doing this for fun, mom. I'm doing this for funds, FUNDS, right? And so I had a dollar amount, and I didn't care how many hours it took within a work week for me to accomplish hitting that number. But my goal at 19 years old or 18 years old was to make at least $1,000 a week. So I worked backwards. charging $20, $30 a head, how many clients does that look like in a week? How many clients does that look like in a day? You know what I mean? Okay, so if they say for every 10 business cards that you hand out, one of them will be converted to a client, then that means that I need to hand out 100 business cards. I need to hop on Vistaprint, hop on, Fiverr or something, create a logo, create a brand, pass out these business cards, QR codes, my cell phone number, my Instagram, something, build these relationships so that it can equate to, this number. And I think that's essential. Planning, having absolute and a definite and concrete plan for yourself. Secondly, like I said, for that barber stylist who wants to work in a suite, doing the exact same thing, but making sure that your clientele can support, the rent or whatever's charged there. And it's really, once you're at that point, it's all contingent on you. You can no longer blame the salon owner, the barbershop owner for your clientele. Now it all falls back on you and your work, your hustle, your marketing, your branding, your Google ads for yourself. And so I think that's important.
Yeah, and I love that you said plan ahead and really have a business plan, whether it's a salon suite or if you're going to get into a salon. We actually had one of our graduates that he told me the story how he went into a salon suite and he told me how much rent he was paying.
Yeah.
And he had to work like 70, 80 hours a week. And he was married and had a child. He ended up getting a divorce. He never saw his wife or his child. It was just awful. Wow. And so now he owns a salon, a 4-chair salon. And interesting enough, he's paying half the amount of rent that he was paying the salon suite. So what's been your experience with that, Jordan, as far as rent, your personal experience in a salon suite versus in a salon? And so talk to that person right now of really doing their due diligence of business planning and really making sure you have great mentors out there that have paved the way to be able to help you through this process.
Sure. At the time that for the year, I believe I was working in a salon suite. So interesting enough, my first business ever was I opened what do you call it? My own salon suites. I had 4 rooms and I converted them each into, beauty salons, or, I kind of, put the chair, the mirror, all that, in there for them. And so I had that business model and was able to kind of, observe, the barber, the massage therapist or whatever that I had in there. And that was really tough, especially for those that were going in there without a solid clientele and still trying to establish, their clientele. Without strategic planning and goals, a lot of them failed. My turnover rate was very high because, they would sign 12-month contracts, but just couldn't keep up with the rent because a lot of people don't educate themselves. They're educated on the craft, and going into work every single day and working is, easy, but learning how to manage your own clientele or strategically market to acquire more customers is a totally different ball game. And so for me, the year I was doing that, I was, on the road traveling, doing a lot of, engagements with Paul Mitchell. And so it just worked for me because coming and going and not being available in a, where you're more so accountable, or you have to be accountable, to a team and everybody, worked for me. Just, being in that salon suite. And so financially, I was paying more out of pocket, but it helped me achieve, the other goal that I wanted. And that was really to connect with the students, or the future professionals with Paul Mitchell. But now after closing that down and opening a large barbershop and salon, obviously you have your overhead, you have, the bills, and it's more so, it kind of looks like a larger version of owning your own salon suite. But for the barber stylist that works there, I think it's imperative that you start there because you have help building your clientele. It's up to the barbershop or salon owner to bring people in the chair, but it's up to you to close the deal, seal the deal, and make them actually convert them into being your client. And I'm not going to say it's easier, but I would say it's less of a financial risk for, that barber, that stylist, than it is to work in an independent suite where you're having to cover the cost of literally a business, just in a smaller, suite.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you, Jordan, for that. I think that'll help give people, when I talk to these students, these graduates, so Sean and I, we do a 6-month course. It's a business and leadership masterclass, we call it. and it really
Okay.
helps you to start your business, right? And then it helps you to get started, and then we teach you how to scale that business,
Okay.
right? And so I would love to hear from you, because you've obviously like taken off like gangbusters here. So you're doing something right. I want advice for our salons that are getting ready to start and open a salon, because since it's real fresh in your mind, we got back into the salon business about 5 years ago. We've
Mhm.
opened up our third salon in our third location, and we're looking to hopefully open our fourth location this year as well. And so that's what we've been working on. So we're in the trenches, right, with you, Jordan.
Yeah, right,
But
right.
I would love to hear, on a business sense, give advice to that person getting started with their salon business. Like, how do they even decide how to get it started? Like you even said, I did my LLC. So what's the first steps of where you should start?
So for me, and I think this is going to speak to my age and me being a millennial. I think before you get your LLC and you have your DBA and you have all the paperwork and all of that stuff, I think it's very, very important to have a clear vision. I mean, because if you don't have a clear vision, or just say you do have a clear vision, but you don't have the stylists, you don't have the barbers to fill your shop with a vision and plan, regardless of who's there or who's not there. In the earlier stages, you don't stress. It relieves the stress because you have a vision, you have a plan of what you want to create. I think being unique, getting away from traditionalism, or what a traditional shop is supposed to aesthetically look like and feel like. I learned in this business the difference between customer service and customer experience, right? And the one thing that I want to really hone in with my dual license shop is the experience. So we have a custom pool table that we had, they shipped, to us. They put it, right there. It's so nice, a tan, it's just really nice. The chairs, the overall experience. My vision for my shop is I want it to look more so like an art gallery, right? Where art and creativity, being a creative, is really prominent right now. I want people to be able to go in and, go to a photo wall and it not look cluttered like a 54th Street, or, like a restaurant, where it just looks, super cluttered and stuff. I want it to be airy. I want it to be open. I want it to give a certain experience when the client and the barbers go there. I say there's three pieces of artwork that I want on display at my shop. The chairs is number one. The artwork on our walls, we have huge 8x8 portraits of Jean-Michel Basquiat from Brooklyn, his paintings on the wall. And then I have the third piece of artwork is the haircut or the style that we create walking out the door. And that's my vision. And I'm not willing to bend on it. The barbers clutter, barbers, I mean, they have equipment that use 20 years, cords, and I'm like, look, we got to get with the times. But for me as the leader, I don't lead from behind, I lead from the front. So if I want my barber stations to look a certain kind of way, or I want them to have the advanced clippers or the cordless clippers so that it doesn't look cluttered, I provide it. That's my vision. You know what I mean? I don't say, it's up to you to do it. No, I lead from the front and I say, look, if I have this set of clippers and I want it to look a certain kind of way, and I want you a part of my team, well, this is what I'm going to offer you. Each of my barbers, each of my stylists have a ring light. I think it's important to illuminate the head, the hairstyle that they have. So to answer the question, I think it's important to establish a solid vision. And I mean, write it down. Like, what do you want it to look like? What's your target audience? What do you want, your clients to experience when they, when they come into your shop?
Yeah. I love that so much that you said, what's your ideal client? What's your target audience? Like, we do dream boards, but do we do dream boards of our ideal client? This is who I want to serve. And I love the fact, I would love to hear what your mission statement is. In our salon, it's in the business of changing lives. And that actually came years ago. It actually came from meeting Dean Banowitz many years ago. He was my very guest speaker in my school at Paul Mitchell School, Great Lakes. I mean, that was like way back in the day.
Right. Yeah.
before he had beards, you know.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, but it was that kind of situation. What you said, you're gonna meet mentors, and I have met mentors along the way, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, you know, you can just feel the hair stand on your ends of your, you know, arms, and
Right.
and
Yeah.
but the target audience, and then also we actually have a written down plan on hiring. So our ideal teammate that we
Right.
want to be a part of our team. And that's expanding, you know, and especially today, it's really
Right.
expanding now, because now I have this whole new idea after talking to you, Jordan. So thanks for blowing my mind today. Sean's like, thanks a lot, Jordan, because it's right.
Right.
And so what is your hiring plan? Because that's the biggest pain point right now. Many salons, I've heard a number, and I don't know if it's correct, but I heard a number of as much as 33% of salons have shut down already.
Wow.
And because they can't find people to work in their shops or salons. What's your specific hiring plan, and what advice do you give to salon owners right now on that?
Two things. Number one, and I was just speaking about this actually last night. It's kind of sad to say, or barbers and stylists get into this industry because they don't like rules.
Yeah.
We don't like boundaries. We don't like limits. We don't, you know, when we feel too enclosed, or we feel like we have to dot our I's, cross our T's, you know, at a high level, it becomes work. Nobody gets in this industry because they want to work. You know what I mean? It's a creative industry. I feel like it's one of the most personable industries, our world has ever seen. And so as a salon owner or a business or a barbershop owner, I think that when you have this long list of do's and don'ts, it's a turnoff. Though, like, I have a very nice aesthetic, to my shop, but I allow them to be themselves. My hiring process looks simply like this. I can coach skill set. I can't coach character, period. So if you want to be a part of our team, you have to come in with a mindset of growth and development, meaning you never stop growing, you never stop being developed. Also, do not come to my shop. You will not be hired if it's, what can you guys give me? Ask what you can give. You're a part of a team that is thriving. You're a part of a mission that is moving forward. And you have to come with the approach, like, what do you have to offer? Wynn taught me this 2 years ago with him. What's in it for me? Everybody wants to know what's in it for me, right? But the real question is, what do you have to offer? What do you have to give? You know what I mean? Everybody has their hand out, but with those same hands out, put them to the plow and help move this mission, move this, movement forward. And so I can coach your skill set. I don't care how good you are, because I believe in myself that much to where I can take someone who's never picked up a pair of clippers into being great, into being excellent. That's my challenge. That's my what I get a rise out of, right? But character, I can't coach. Integrity, I can't coach. That's what you have to have coming into Neighborhood Heroes Barbershop and Salon. You have to be trustworthy. You have to be a hard worker. You have to be dedicated and committed, not to what we have, but to what your vision and your purpose and what what you're building for yourself. Otherwise, what we have is just secondary, and you can care less about what we're building, because you don't care about what you're building for yourself. And so I can coach, like I said, your skill set. I can make you a better barber. I can make you a better stylist. If not, I can find somebody who can make you better. But I can't coach, character. And that's not my job. My job isn't to do what your mom should have done or what your grandparents should have done. My job is to make you a better professional.
Exactly. They should have had a mom and grandmother raise them too.
Exactly. So that's my my 1-2 step for them. And I don't come in with this, oh, I've been doing this my entire life and I'm better than you. I tell them, listen, I'm learning and growing too. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human, and I lead with that. I lead with my flaws. A lot of people don't do that. I have this celebrity client and I'm, very pinky up, and no, I don't lead like that way. I let them see my flaws first. I'm very forgetful. You know what I mean? You could tell me something, and the next minute I forget it. I'm so sorry. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Charge it to my head, not my heart, and I allow them to make mistakes. I'll give you an example. One of my cosmetologists, she was trained very well. And so throughout the day, she's always cleaning. She cleans our stations, just what she likes to do. And I'll send her, cash app her, some money. Just thank you. I appreciate you keeping, the shop, nice and tidy. But she dropped my favorite pair of clippers and completely shattered them, broke them as she was cleaning, my station. And, I'm asking them like, my clippers didn't look like this. All the teeth on the clippers are broken. I'm like, what happened? Nobody wanted to say anything. So now I have to go into like super boss mode. I'm like, okay, well, I'll check the cameras and then the truth will come out and whoever, And so before I could do that, she pulled me aside. She was like, listen, I did it. I'm so sorry. I said, listen, we all make mistakes. Those clippers can be replaced. I appreciate the fact that you're taking the initiative into helping us keep this shop to a certain standard of looking appealing nice. So thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you for coming forward and letting me know it was you. So now I'm not, going crazy. I'm not upset because they're broken. I'm upset because I didn't know who did it. But I lead that way. And I think a lot of people put the responsibility back on those that they're supposed to be leading, as opposed to assuming responsibility and saying, look, I'm the leader of this ship. I'm the head of this business. It's going to start with me. And I try so hard to lead with humility and my flaws so that they understand, look, we're human. Though I spent however many thousands of dollars to open this business, I care more about the individual behind the chair and your experience here than I do about, a pair of clippers or, an irate client who comes in, just with a long list of demands and, just whatever. So that's the way I like to lead. And that's the way I've learned how to, keep people, at the shop thus far. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Keep the right people.
Exactly. That's right.
Because sometimes you hire someone and you don't realize until maybe even years later, it's like, what was I thinking?
Exactly. Exactly.
What happened here? And people do change, right? Too.
They do.
But,
absolutely.
You kind of dropped a bomb earlier, and I want to end my last couple of questions with this. Is you said people want to see you do better, but not better than them. Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Jordan, because Sean and I, the 6 months that we teach, we spent a whole month just on leadership. And I think really hit the head right, the nail on the head so big that I think this is what the problem is. This is why there's salon walkouts. That's why I think I had 2 salon walkouts, because I just was not the leader that I should have been for my team. And so as I look forward with this, and I think this is so huge, because one of the things that I've been doing, and I'd love to hear what you're doing, is really working with my team to see what is best for them. What's the next steps for them in their life? Not for me, but for them, and truly leading them. So as you navigate this leadership thing, what advice do you want to give all salon owners across America?
People can sense what you really care about as a leader, where you place emphasis. You're not dealing with a bunch of robots. You're dealing with real human beings who go through real problems, who have real stresses, who have real financial struggles, who have, a long list of their own problems. And I think that salon owners, barbershop owners worldwide should spend more time developing the individual, letting them know you care beyond what they can produce for you. That's any business, especially in corporate. Letting them know that, look, I'm in the trenches with you, you know what I mean? And being relatable, being, I'm not going to say stooping down to their level, but meeting them where they're at. We know you're successful, Sean. We know you're successful, Tina. I'm not there. I love a leader who doesn't speak to me from a vantage point of, like I said, this is what I know, I've gone here and I know Win Clay ball and I know this one. And I'm going to get on your level and say, look, I too have struggled with this. This is how I did it. I'm going to meet you where you're at. What does that practically look like? I think it's more meaningful to let me take you out to eat. That was, I have to do this with 3 of my barbers now. Let me take you out to eat and let's talk from a real level. Now, the pros and cons of this is you spend so much time with people who really have no tie, no vested interest in your business, and can cut ties and leave you the next day, right? But at the end of the day, what can't be said about your shop and their experience there was that you did not try to help them. That's what this is all about. If they're successful, you're successful. Your success is contingent upon how great you can, develop and make them. If they surpass your skill set, great. Now you turn around and make them leads of, a team. If they're growing with your company, if they're growing with your brand, they're never going to leave. What reason would they have to leave? It's at the place where people start feeling like a number, and when they start feeling like, like they're not appreciated anymore. My mom is really big into making gift baskets, and she's really big into that. And she loves to come in and spoil my barber, spoil the stylist, and just get them little gift baskets of candles and snacks and whatever. I'm like, great, mom. And so I have her on payroll now. I gotta buy her, take her out to eat or whatever, just so she continues to do that. So my barbers and stylists feel appreciated. I think that's so key. I think a lot of times, because we are business people, we think about the bottom line a lot of the time, which isn't an accurate measurement of growth, in my personal opinion. I think of success, I don't think that's the proper metrics you should use. I think the proper metrics that you should use is on an individual basis. How did you help this individual grow? I don't just fill my shop with people simply because I want to hit a number. I open my business knowing that I can pay this rent, I can pay this lease, I can pay these bills, even if it was just me in here. But the true superpower, Sean, is being able to mentor and develop people and take them from, ground zero to where you feel like they should be. And if they outgrow you, allow them to do that. If they surpass your business, and they want to go on to another shop, allow them to do that, and send them best of wishes. But I think we collectively could do a better job of not making people feel like a number, not setting yourself on this pedestal because you are the owner, but really stooping down to where they're at, whether you do hair or you don't do hair. But take them out, let them know that you appreciate them. That should be a part of your budget as a business owner, an appreciation fee. You know what I mean? I'm getting ready to take my barbers and stylists go-karting. Simply, one, because I'm very competitive and I just like to do it. And the bottom two losers have to buy the first round of shots and food for everybody. But just to let them know we appreciate them, and we're excited that they're part of McCook & Co. or Neighborhood Heroes Barbershop and Salon.
That is amazing. Oh my gosh. I definitely have to have you back for my other podcast, my B series podcast, especially for your book. So I would love to
Nice.
out with it's called Evolution of Self. And
Correct.
where did that idea come from for you, and how can people get your book?
The first title of the book was going to be called A Quarter of a Century, and it was going to be detailing my pain and my struggles, 25 years of my life. But then as me and my author coach began to write, and we began to, just kind of talk about what I was actually experiencing and going through after reading, other books, I'm like, this is really more so about my evolution, my journey to being who I am today. And so the evolution of self was really a reflection of where I was at that time, and not using what I had been through as an excuse to bow out of the fight, but to fight back. And so the subtitle was My Pain, Your Freedom. You can get the book on Amazon. I saw now that it's on Walmart.com and Kindle for just $9.99. And I'm really excited about the book. I mean, it's been over a year now that, people have been able to read my story and read, have it in their hands. But now we're on the second one. So the Evolution of Self, you can get it on Amazon, Kindle, and like I said, Walmart.com now. So I'm excited.
I can't thank you enough, Jordan, for being on for us. And like I said, I'm definitely going to stalk you so I can get you on the next podcast too. What's one last piece of advice that you have been dying to tell salon owners across America?
One piece of advice I've been dying to tell salon owners. Okay, I'll give this one. You will never be the best copycat. Imitations are cheap. Stop. Be creative. Dig deep to be creative, to be uniquely you, and hone into that. People want new experiences. People are tired of yesterday's newspaper. Be an original. Stop being a copycat. Don't look at this person's salon or this shop and say, oh, I'm gonna do mine exactly like that. You know what I mean? Be unique, be original, and have fun. You know, take the stress off of, you know, having to be a certain, you know, level or this, that, and the third. Have fun in this industry and be your original, be unique, and fall in love with the idea of being flawed, because we all are. I think that's what makes our art or our industry so beautiful. Like, fall in love with it, hone into it, and just be better than you were yesterday. That's my last piece of advice. I'm done.
It's beautiful. Yeah, drop the mic. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
God bless.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Likewise.